Okay, so picture this. You're at the Veteran Fencing World Championships. You've been training for years, you're up against the world's best, and suddenly, bam, an early loss in the tournament. What an uphill battle, right?
Oh, absolutely.
But that's exactly the situation Team USA's men's foil team found themselves in, over in Dubai. And here's the kicker. They didn't just recover, they rallied all the way to a silver medal.
Incredible.
Today, we're going to dive deep into their incredible journey, figuring out not just what happened, but how. To help us break down the strategy, the skill, the sheer guts it takes to compete at this level, we have our expert with us.
It's great to be here. This tournament was like a masterclass in resilience and tactical fencing.
Okay, so before we get into the nitty-gritty of their matches, could you set the stage for us? What should we know about the Veteran Fencing World Championships?
So picture this, fencers from all over the world, grouped by age, going head-to-head in 3 different weapon disciplines, foil, épée, and saber.
Right.
Now, the team events, like the one we're focusing on today, they're relatively new to the vet worlds, only started in 2014.
Interesting.
So for Team USA to snag silver, matching their best ever result from Cairo in 2019, that's huge.
It really shows you how much this level of fencing is growing and the incredible dedication these athletes bring to the pistol. Speaking of athletes, let's meet the stars of our show, the men's foil team.
Absolutely. We're talking a mix of experience and pure talent across 3 different age categories. In the vet 50s, we've got Rafael Suarez and Marek Wazinski holding it down. For the vet 60s, Peter Grambois and John Lawrence. And in the vet 70 category, Joseph Streb and Philippe Bennett, all seasoned competitors with some impressive wins under their belts.
These guys are not messing around. So take us back to Dubai. Their first match is against Australia, and they pull off a solid win, 21-18. But then they hit a snag.
And it was a pretty big snag. They came up against Japan in their pool and lost 25-30. Not exactly the start they were hoping for, especially against a team like Japan, known for their precision and honestly kind of scary tactical skills.
Right. Not ideal. But it's not the end of the world either, is it? Yeah, because I know in fencing, a loss in pool play doesn't mean you're out. But I imagine it does shake things up a bit.
Oh, for sure. Pool play is all about seeding. A loss there can shuffle you into a tougher bracket for the elimination rounds, meaning a much harder climb to the podium. That's where experience and, keeping your cool under pressure really come into play.
So how did Team USA regroup after that loss to Japan? We're talking veteran fencers here. Did they huddle up, study tapes, maybe break out a motivational quote board?
Well, I wasn't exactly a fly on the wall during their pep talks, but it's safe to assume that Coach Drew Douglas, a legend in the fencing world, played a key role in getting them back on track. And remember, these athletes have probably faced their fair share of setbacks. They get it. A single match, even a loss, doesn't define the entire tournament.
It's all about adapting and overcoming.
Exactly. And that's just what they did in their next match against Germany in the quarterfinals. They came out swinging, completely flipped the script, and took home a decisive 30-18 victory. Talk about a statement win.
I love it, turning a loss into fuel for the fire. But what does that actually look like on the piece? Do they actually change their strategy mid-tournament?
Oh, absolutely. This is where the strategic depth of fencing really shines. Remember we talked about Japan's tactical game? Well, you can bet that Team USA spent time between those matches dissecting Japan's tactics, finding weaknesses, and adjusting their own game plan.
So it's like a chess match, but with lightning-fast reflexes.
Exactly. You need to analyze your opponent, predict their moves, and be ready to pounce on any opening. Maybe they spotted a pattern in the Japanese fencer's footwork or a tendency to favor certain attacks. Whatever it was, they found it and used it to their advantage.
And that's exactly what went down in the semifinals, because guess who Team USA had to face once again?
Let me guess. Japan.
You got it. Talk about a grudge match.
And a pivotal one at that. It wasn't just about making it to the gold medal match. It was about proving they could beat a tough opponent. It was a mental hurdle as much as a physical one.
So how did they do this time around? Was it another clear victory, or did it go down to the wire?
This one kept everyone on the edge of their seats. It was a real nail-biter. They edged out Japan 25-22, which secured their spot in the gold medal match.
Okay, but before we get to that final showdown, I want to pause for a second. You mentioned the mental game of fencing. Can you unpack that a bit more for us? What kind of pressure are these athletes under, especially in a high-stakes match like this?
Okay, imagine this. You're on the piste. That narrow strip where the magic happens. The weight of your entire team is on your shoulders. Every touch you make, every touch you miss could mean the difference between victory and defeat. The crowd is going wild. The lights are blinding.
I think I'm getting nervous just picturing it.
And remember, these are veteran fencers. We're talking decades of competition, years of pouring their heart and soul into this sport. They've experienced the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat, trust me. The pressure is immense.
It's not just about physical strength and skill. It's about mental toughness, strategy, and performing under pressure. So they've conquered Japan, battled their way to the gold medal match, and now they're facing France, another fencing powerhouse. What can you tell us about this final showdown?
Well, for one thing, it was a masterclass in foil fencing. Well, for one thing, it was a masterclass in foil fencing. In foil, the target area is just the torso. And
Yeah.
there are all these intricate right-of-way rules, which adds a whole other layer of strategy to the game.
So it really is like a physical game of chess where you have to think several moves ahead.
Exactly. And the French team, they're famous for their tactical brilliance and their ability to read their opponents and adjust on the fly.
Sounds like Team USA had their work cut out for them. Paint a picture for us. What were those final moments like?
Man, you could just feel the tension in the air. Every point was a battle. Every touch could make or break the gold. Team USA was trailing going into the fifth leg, but then Rafael Suarez steps up, and it was just, wow, pure magic.
Okay, hold on. Before you tell us about Suarez's big moment, you said fifth leg. For those of us who don't speak fluent fencing, can you explain what that means?
Oh, right. So in team fencing, each team has three fencers, right? And they each face off against all three fencers on the other team. Each of those individual bouts is called a leg.
Got it. So it's sort of like a relay race, but instead of a baton, they're passing the pressure.
Ah, that's a great way to put it. And in this case, Suarez in that fifth leg, he was incredible. He scored an amazing 12 touches to 8, putting Team USA ahead 25-22 going into the final leg.
12 to 8. Clutch doesn't even begin to describe it.
Absolutely. But don't think the drama was over just yet. France, got to give them credit, they fought back tooth and nail in that last leg. And as time ran out, they managed to grab the gold.
So close, but still, what a run for Team USA. They matched their best ever result at the World Championship.
They did, and it really says a lot about their skill, their resilience, their commitment to the sport. This silver medal, it represents years of hard work and performing under immense pressure.
It's a good reminder that it's not always about the final score, but about the journey, the challenges you overcome, the dedication you bring.
Couldn't agree more.
And speaking of journeys, while Team USA's men's foil team was going for gold, there were other American fencers in Dubai competing in different weapon categories, different age groups, all chasing their own dreams on the piste.
Right. We haven't even talked about epi yet, where the whole body's a target. Totally different ball game strategically, and just as demanding physically and mentally.
You know, you've mentioned epee a few times now, and I got to ask, how is it different from foil, besides the target area?
Great question. Because yeah, they might look kind of similar if you're not a fencer, but the tactics, the whole mindset are totally different. Remember how I was saying in foil there's right of way, meaning the one who starts the attack has priority. Well, in epee, it doesn't matter who started what, whoever gets the touch first wins. So it's much more about timing, distance, anticipation.
So less about those fancy footwork mind games, like
Yeah.
in foil, and more about, what, reaction time,
Yeah.
like a Wild West duel almost.
That's one way to put it. You're right, the strategies are night and day epee fencers. They do a ton more counterattacking, waiting for their opponent to make a move, then bam, capitalize on the mistake.
Fascinating. So while our foil team was celebrating their silver, how did our epee fencers do in Dubai?
Well, it wasn't quite as triumphant a day for Team USA in the epee categories, but there were definitely some standout performances, some really inspiring stories. Like in the Vet 50 women's epee, we had Ann Totenmeyer, Toby Tolley, Sabina Chernis, and Sandra Marchant, all representing the U.S. with incredible heart.
It's just amazing to me to think these women, many of them probably have careers, families going on, and they still find the time and the drive to compete at that level. That's real dedication.
It truly is. Their commitment's really something else.
For sure. And I bet the camaraderie between the athletes is a huge part of it too, huh?
Oh, absolutely. These tournaments aren't just about the competition. It's about sharing that passion, that respect for your fellow fencers, and of course the friendships you build through a love for the sport.
Okay, back to the competition itself. You mentioned the Vet 50 women's epee. Any other notable performances in epee we should know about?
Tons. In the Vet 60 women's epee, Valerie Asha, she's a former Olympian actually, took some time off to raise her family and then came back strong, finishing just off the podium in 6th place. Amazing dedication.
Talk about a comeback story. Motherhood and world-class fencing. That's incredible.
It really is. And she wasn't the only one who made a statement. Lydia Fabry, another incredibly accomplished Vet 60 fencer, finished in seventh place. And we can't forget Suzanne Bloomer. She secured a very respectable ninth place.
Shows you the incredible talent in these veteran categories.
Absolutely. And for the men, we had Walter Dragonetti, Michael Perka, Shauna Mealy, and Rick Wattrell, all representing Team USA with tons of skill and grit in the Vet 60 men's epee.
It's clear that age is just a number when it comes to passion and pushing your limits.
100%. These athletes prove that it's never too late to chase your dreams, test your boundaries, experience that thrill of competition.
It's about pushing boundaries, redefining what's possible. You know, hearing you talk about these amazing athletes, their dedication, their perseverance, it really makes you wonder, what do you think it takes at its core to step onto that piste, face your opponent, and compete at such a high level, especially as a veteran athlete?
Wow, that's a really interesting question. It's like a whole bunch of things. It's a love for the sport, for sure. That desire to see what they're really capable of. And of course, the camaraderie, the friendships, and you brought it up earlier. It might even be about chasing a dream they had to put on hold.
A dream that maybe got sidelined for a while but never truly went away. And now they have that fire back, a second chance to really go for it.
Exactly. Think about it, a young athlete, totally gung-ho, dedicating years of their life to this.
Yeah.
Then life takes over, right? Careers, families. But that love for the sport, that never really disappears, does it?
And then they find their way back, rediscovering that passion, finding a new rhythm in something familiar.
Right. It's like a testament to resilience, to adapting, to that enduring love for what they do. They're not just fencing against other people, they're fencing against their own past, in a way, pushing those limits, proving to themselves what's possible.
And they become role models for others, too, showing everyone that you're never too old to chase a dream, to embrace a challenge, to feel that rush of competition at any age.
It's powerful stuff. And I think it speaks to something really beautiful about sports. They go beyond borders, beyond generations, beyond our differences. They remind us of that, I don't know, that unstoppable human spirit that we all have inside.
Listening to you talk about it, it really brings it home that these veteran world championships, they're not just about who wins the medal. They're about dedication, about perseverance, about the way sports can bring people together.
Couldn't have said it better myself. It's this global gathering of athletes who've devoted themselves to something that takes incredible physical and mental strength. And if anyone out there is thinking, oh, I'm too old for that now, or I missed my chance, let these athletes be your inspiration. It's never too late to rediscover a passion, to dust off that old equipment, whatever it is, to get back out there, back on the court, the field, or in this case, the piste.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe their stories will inspire someone listening right now to pick up a foil, an épée, or a saber for the very first time.
Wouldn't that be something? Fencing's got so much to offer. That physical and mental agility, the strategy, the friendships. It's a really unique, really rewarding sport.
Well, I think that's a perfect note to end on as we wrap up our deep dive into the Veteran Fencing World Championships.
Yeah.
What a journey it's been, from those early losses to that amazing comeback and those incredible final moments.
It's been a pleasure joining you for the ride.
The pleasure was all ours. And to our listeners, we hope you've come away with a new appreciation for this incredible sport, for the skill and dedication of these veteran athletes. And hey, maybe even a little spark of inspiration to chase those passions of yours, no matter your age, no matter where you are in life.
Here, to everyone listening, keep learning, keep exploring, and never let that competitive spirit die.